Hi, friend. Welcome to Her Evergreen Soul. My name is Amy Brady, and I help women to uncomplicate their spiritual life through a heart and body approach to spiritual growth. Walking with you on the path to spiritual formation is a passion of mine. I've been serving women for over 20 years as an author, speaker, yoga instructor, and now as a spiritual director. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like your spiritual life is in a rut? Do you feel like your efforts to grow are never enough? Does it all just seem complicated? Then come sit with me a spell and let me share with you the unforced rhythms of grace. I want to invite you down the contemplative path into spiritual practices that ground your heart and free your soul, where you can live an integrated, embodied faith and learn how to keep your soul evergreen no matter what season of life you're in. Okay, friends, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have a very, very long-time friend with me today to talk about some pretty wonderful things that she's been up to the last few years. Her name is Angela Gonzalez, and she is the founder of the Nurture Place. But that's just one of her latest adventures. So we'll find out a little bit more about what got her to that place of serving and giving in the community. So welcome, Angela.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited too, even though Angela's literally sitting in an office about 15 minutes from here. Angela Gonzalez, my friend, is also founder and executive director of the Nurture Place, a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing mental health and family resources in our community, which is West Orange County in Orlando, with a wide variety of positions throughout her career in everything from healthcare to education. She brings her compassion to every aspect of her work and is committed to making a meaningful impact in the lives of others. But since 2012, Angela has dedicated much of her time to creating and developing best practices for working with children and families impacted by complex trauma and adversity. Passionate about mental health, early interventions, she has trained as a TBRI practitioner, ACEs facilitator, and trauma-informed certified to ensure effective support. In 2019, she founded the Nurture Place, a 501c3 organization to provide these exact crucial resources that are very much needed in our community. Her goal is to build trauma-informed communities where every child, adult, and family is empowered to heal, grow, and thrive. She's a tireless advocate, creating empathetic environments that promote resilience and well-being. She's been married to her wonderful best friend, Felix, for 30 years, and together they have raised 3 incredible daughters, and they are all incredible for sure. But this is my favorite part of the bio. Their newest and funnest adventure yet is becoming grandparents. Woo, woo, woo. For the grandparents, a title they wear with pride and a little extra sparkle.
Yes,
So,
the baby, that baby. Yes.
that baby, he is gorgeous, gorgeous. And won't Christmas be so fun this year with him?
Yes, I love it. I can't wait. Yes,
Yeah,
I can't wait. Yes.
yeah. He's going to really be into it a lot more this year, which will be so sweet. So, what I want to ask you first is, how do you think, out of all the things that you've done, how did you come to a place of being able to discern that the Nurture Place was something God was asking you to step into?
Yeah. First, I think that everything that we do, whether is job to career or any experience that we have, God can use all of those things, right? He uses every experience. And so in 2016, I was just so, looking and working with families and trying to figure out what is it that is missing. And I was thinking of all the practical ways that we come to meet families' needs, meals, laundry, anything, money that they might need if they don't have any finances or whatever it is that we are giving to people. But I feel like I am there's something that I put on my LinkedIn, and it's called a compassionate disruptor. And to me, that means that I want to get to the root of the issues, right? Yes, it's important to meet the immediate needs of the families, but those immediate needs need to also be sometimes doing the hard work of healing. And how do we do that? And so, uh, I was working with families, also my own personal story, right? Like we all need, and I, especially being a child from trauma, finding, I mean, my thought has always been like, what would have been for in my life, how would my family be impacted if a nurture place existed when I was a child? Or how would my family be impacted if, when I was a young mom with two little girls, and before my third one came, like, how would my life be impacted and their life be impacted positively with a place like the Nurture Place? Because at that time, I didn't have community. It wasn't until they got into elementary school that I started finding community. But when they were babies, I didn't have community in our area. And so, looking at that story and then seeing the need of other families, especially families that brought their kids into their home and the children experience complex developmental trauma, coupled with our own trauma, right, that we have and our own experiences and our own adversity, there had to be something more than that. And so for me, I started therapy. I did go when I was in my 20s, but not faithfully until I was in my 30s. And so that particular therapy season of my life changed my life forever, and in a positive way, because I was able to solve things that I was going through, and I was able to evolve and grow and all the things, right? And so, looking at all those things, I just knew that there needed to be a place where families and people could go to, a safe place where they were able to be seen and heard and valued, and their story kept sacred. Like, our stories are sacred, and
Mhm.
we need to have that compassion and be delicate in how we handle people's stories. And so I felt like it needed to be a place where trauma informed people. It doesn't even have to be just therapists, but people who are trauma informed and understand it, which could be any of us, right? Like, if we really learn and if we really grow, we can be a provider that is a trauma informed provider. And then we can come alongside those families and help them to grow and heal, and provide them with all the different interventions, not just interventions like the therapy that we do. We have therapists that work with our families, children and families, but we also have support groups and groups that we take into the schools and other different things, because for us at the Nurture Place, everything is about connection. And ultimately, like, God created us to be connected to Him, to ourselves, and therefore be connected to other people. And so how can we do that? Adding the therapeutic side of it.
Yeah. And what I love about there's a lot of things I love about the Nurture Place. We've talked about that throughout the years, but one of the things that I really love about it is that it makes mental health services accessible to everyone, because that really is one of the tragedies of our modern day, is that the help that you and I know is out there, and the help that you and I have been able to participate in
Mhm.
should not be something that is connected to privilege, and should not be something that is connected to your socioeconomic status.
Right.
So many people, even that I work with in spiritual direction, that I might say, I feel like some of these issues would be even better developed further with someone who has a therapy background. They can't afford that, or they can't afford both. And so it's always been sad to me to come across women and with the people that I work with, but women who need it but can't have it, can't afford it, and there's nobody out there offering it, right?
Right.
There's no organization that's like, "Hey, we're gonna help people get mental health, services.
Yeah.
So I've always loved that that
Mhm.
has been, and I think that's what makes the Nurture Place unique, honestly, is that they offer those things to people. So have you had people that you have come across that didn't have the money for it, but then the Nurture Place was able to offer it and it made a big difference in their life?
100% all the time. And, I want to add something to the fact that it's accessible because I believe that healthcare in any area of healthcare needs to be accessible to people affordably, right? But also the fact that it doesn't take away from the fact that we have high quality, evidence based, wonderful programs. It doesn't, like, the quality is not lowered because there are
Mhm.
some places that not immediately here around here. We are very unique in that, but there are other places that may offer some free resources, but then it's not as quality, or it doesn't feel like you're in a home, and it doesn't feel that safety and the safety net that the families really need. Just because it's less expensive or more affordable doesn't mean that you need lower quality programs. That makes
Mhm.
sense. So
Oh,
our
100%.
our quality is high quality still. And we do have many families that have experienced the resources of having a therapist and the family therapist with scholarships. And so we offer scholarships for the families that really need it and they can't afford it. And the thing is that start thinking about, like, even financially, a family that needs immediate therapy and they need it once a week for a while. And let's say the cheapest, because we're probably the least expensive in the area, is
Mhm.
$100, right?
Mhm.
4 weeks is $400. That is a lot of money for a family that's living paycheck to paycheck. So in Orange County, 50% of the population lives just above the poverty line. So those families, 50% of our population in Central Florida live in that poverty line, a little bit above the poverty line. That means that those 50% families, we could not have access to this type of programs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes
Hard.
such a difference, and I've thought I'm like you, I really, really believe in early intervention. I think the same way a lot of times, like, how would my life have been different if there were trauma conversations when I was a child? Would it have felt more natural to tell someone what had happened? Would it
Right.
felt more accessible for my parents to, and less shameful, to get me the help that I needed or whatever, right? And what how that could have affected, I mean, you and I both know how it would have affected our lives,
Right. Right.
because we lived without it and we know
Mm.
how it could have helped. But I feel like so many of the things that lower socioeconomic places within our community, there's so much trauma there. I
Mhm.
mean, so much of what they deal with is compacted by the fact that they're trying to deal with it through, whether they realize it or not, the lens of trauma,
Right.
and how
Right.
that limits them even in their decision-making abilities. I mean, that is very difficult to think well and to discern well when your whole outlook on life, what's available to you, what you could possibly do, how you should do things is so affected once you have been through a traumatic event,
Mhm.
and so I think about those populations a lot too and how helpful that could be, which you guys do offer in several schools in some of those communities, the nurture groups. Tell us a little bit about that because I just love that program.
I love that program too.
It's
It's
so
one of my favorite
sweet.
things because it's just we get to go into the schools and bring a 30-minute classroom skills building, if you will, and it is really a resilience building group. It's nurture groups, but it helps children to a couple of different very important skills that we all need in order to be in healthy relationships. So, giving and receiving care. So, we need to be able to give care and also receive care to be in a healthy relationship. Be autonomous. So, I'm not just following what everyone is doing, but I have my own sense of self and what I need and what I want. And all of that is very needed. And how to verbalize my needs. How can I communicate? I may have a need, but because of whatever circumstances, I may not be able to express that or communicate it. So we teach those skills through really fun activities, and the kids really love it. The teachers also love it. And we had one of the teachers do a little video for us because she was really impacted by the group in her classroom. And she said, after the 6 weeks that you came to my classroom, I really saw our kids just open up and be able to talk about the things that were going on in their emotions, in their heart, sometimes in the home, things that they never shared before with her. And those are the things that we want to do. So we are in a mental health crisis right now in our country, in our world. Suicide rates, all the things that are happening, we are trying to get to the root of it before all those things happen, right? Before all the I don't know how to deal with my emotions, and so this is what's going to happen. Before all that, that's where we want to be. How can we bring this resiliency to our children? How can they be aware of their emotions? How can they have some self-regulation? And all of those things are so needed and so important. So yes, it is one of my favorite programs too. And we get to love on the kiddos and teach them skills. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like those groups, which are needed everywhere,
Yes.
as we know, because of the state of the world and the mental health crisis that our country and the world is in right now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's being part of the solution,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I even think of the generation between the kids that you're serving right now with those groups and say our oldest kids, you and I have kids all around the same ages, our oldest kids who are in their late 20s and 30s, how much I wonder how different society would be right now if those kids had had training in those areas of
Yeah.
resilience, of like, how do I handle it when someone doesn't agree with me? How
Right.
do I respond, by expressing, you know, that something bothered me in a healthy way, all those types of resiliency things, because I feel like and I've talked to several teachers about their classrooms, just friends and stuff who happen to be teachers, the difference in their classrooms since even COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Okay.
like, oh, the kids are behind a couple of years socially and emotionally.
100%. Yes.
And how that's caused so much more difficulty as it always will in a classroom. How can you learn when you are looking over your shoulder because someone doesn't like you and you don't handle it in a healthy way and neither do they? I mean, that's kind of where they live in their heads, they're kids. And so they're talking about how just that lack of socialization that they had for a period of time set them back. And then they
100%.
came back to school and then there was no talk about it.
No talk about it. No, yes, no trainings, no anything to help them cope with that particular thing. And the thing that I think we lack sometimes is that we see a need, and we see something like, for example, kids need, they're behind in the reading, right? So yes, we do want to target that, right? But if your child or the majority of your children in the classroom have some sort of trauma or they're going through some adversity, their brain is not capable of learning as well as a child who's well regulated, because their brain is on fight and flight mode, and therefore they're more hypervigilant of their classroom and they have less capacity of learning. And so that's why we always talk about the root problem. We're getting to the root issue, which is regulation and understanding of our bodies and all of those things that we teach the children. So many layers of that. But yes, this is where the nurture place is prevention, yet we work with children who have experienced complex trauma, and we work with the entire family system, because it's not just the child, it's us too, as a mom, as moms and dads. We need to do our own work as well. In our generation, and maybe even younger generation, the therapy was not like something we talked about when we were younger. Like that's only for the people that were, had extreme cases, right? And so there's a bridge somehow.
Mhm. Yeah, and I do love that, how holistic the nurture place is. So it's not like, you're coming in and you're just servicing the child, or the parent is coming in and you're just servicing the parent. It's very holistic. Our family has been fortunate enough to receive some services as well for one of our children. And many times it's, hey, come in, talk to the parent, then come in, talk to the child, then come in and talk to both. I mean, it's very holistic.
Mhm,
Not also to mention
mhm,
that you guys do such a beautiful job at environment, which I'm huge on. I
Thank
just feel like environment sets the tone. You
100.
walk in and everything is so simply curated. So what I love and appreciate is you walk into your office and it's not medicinal and it's not professional like
Mm,
you would go into an adult therapy office or something like that. You know, you walk in and it's playful, it's
mm,
welcoming, but it's not overstimulating, because I know
right.
with me, with my girls, it took me a while to, even though I did all, like you did too, all this prep on bringing home a child from hard places, I didn't put together the overstimulation of
Mhm.
much
Yeah.
and lots and quantity of things in their room and quantity of things hanging on the walls, that those little things like that can be very overwhelming for children who are already struggling to regulate in every area of their body. But
Yeah.
it's just, there's just, everything is so sweet and so simple, and yet there's things there for the parents to sit, and of course the snacks. Can we not forget the snacks?
Of
I
course,
was like,
of course.
snacks has been my lifeline with
Yeah,
myself and with my
yeah.
children.
Yes,
I mean, I learned early on, we didn't leave the house without a water bottle and a snack everywhere we went,
100%.
everywhere. And still to
Yeah,
this day, I have one. They'll bring water, and the other, she carries a purse now. She's got snacks in her purse.
yeah.
And I do too. When I go somewhere, I just sometimes need to know it's there. And I feel like so many of the kids that come into your office feel the same way. And you guys provide that in a great way. Angie does a great job with that.
Of course she does, yes.
Of course she does. Exactly.
She does. She does everything so well. And so we're very, very fortunate and blessed to have a wonderful clinical supervisor that is not only doing the work with families herself, but is also teaching and supervising all the other
Mhm.
therapists in the office. And so that's how we're going to continue to be sustainable and grow. And we do a great job working together and collaborating with the therapist. So it's a very, like, we have meetings every week. And to me, it's very important to do that, because we continue to grow not only in our profession, but also grow in the ways that we're serving our families, to be able to continue to be holistic in care, holistic in love and serve our community. And that's very important to us, to continue that sense of, it's not just this one intervention and you come and you go. It's this connection that helps you to be and to feel and to know that you're not alone. You're okay, whether you're 5 or whether you're 45, right? Like
Mhm.
all the ages. And it's important to have good environments and good spaces where you feel loved. Like that's part of kind of like like wrapping around them and loving on them. It's the environment.
Yes. And I love that because, again, I just find myself when I go and do things that feel quite normal to me, like I'm going to go get a massage. Massage is one of the ways that I get the trauma out of my body.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's very hard for me to do that even through yoga or any of the other exercise I do. It's just a lifelong way that my body holds things.
Yeah.
But even though there's, more of a medicinal approach for me with massage,
Mm.
when I do those things, I think to myself, how many single moms could really use this? How many of them could really use this type of gentle touch or care? And as we know, mutual friend Marcia, who has done some events with us for the Nurture Place, is so kind in her touch. And people don't realize that, we don't really all touch as much as we used to. And that those things replace those other places in our brain that say this isn't safe and this isn't good. It's like, oh, no, touch is good. And let us show you how. So, but even with the way that you guys just touch people in non-physical ways, like I said, the snacks and things like that, I think it's just showing them an environment that many of them are not even used to being in when they go in offices or things like maybe even sometimes their schools don't have the resources to provide really warm environments in their classrooms like some teachers in other schools can, you know?
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think part of what I wanted to create from day one was a safe space, a safe place for families. And that's part of safety. I know I'm going to be there and feel safe because of the environment, because of the people and how they treat us, because of the food that a lot of children, and not a lot, but there's a percentage of the children that we see in our office that have food insecurities. And so
Mm.
having that snack there for them, that's a way of feeling safe. So it's all very methodical and very well thought out. Like what you said, you go in and there are things, there are toys for the kids, but it's not like overwhelming toys because there are kids that are overstimulated by too many things, right? And so we want to keep that balance between all of the different all of the aspects of the environment that we
Mhm.
provide for our families.
Yes, I love that. I could do a whole other podcast with you on food insecurity.
Yeah.
That's near and dear to my
Phenomenal.
heart. That cause,
I know.
it's just something that I think is so important, which is why I love that you guys recognize that so much. I want to talk just really briefly, but about what I call one of the side effects of the
Mhm,
Nurture Place, and that is in your spaces, in your offices,
mhm,
how you have collaborated with
mhm,
other therapists
mhm,
by them renting space there or whatever. Because one of the things that I think you are so good at is supporting other people in their thing,
mm. Thank you. Yeah.
and especially women. I mean, you
Yeah.
support it all because we know the Dear Daniel, right? But, at the Orlando office, but you my LSU buddy,
And Mitch,
forever
and Mitch,
friends now.
and Mitch. We have Mitch
And Mitch.
too.
You
Yeah.
have Mitch. I haven't met Mitch, but I know Daniel now. But, to come into those spaces and even I have been able to, be in there to see people one-on-one in spiritual direction who are local or do other events with you guys. But just I meet so many other therapists that are there and they're renting space and it's just so like, why can't it always be like this
Yeah.
kind of thing?
I mean, I think I have been in spaces because of all the things that I've done. I've been in healthcare, elementary education, working at different faith communities and things like that, that I've learned a lot. And I've learned what not to do when you're a leader.
Mhm.
Right? And so I always have had this very big passion of empowering people. And I know, I mean, at this age, I hope that I know more of who I am and I'm more self-aware. And one of my passion is to be able to empower the younger generation, to be able to let them know that they have purpose, that they have something that God created them for a purpose and with meaning, and that's important to me. And so how can I cultivate that? Sometimes we just need an encourager in our life, a cheerleader. Sometimes we just need someone to walk alongside us to tell us, yes, you're doing great. Yes, pursue that. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. We can get up again and try it again. And so to me, being a leader has been one of those things that I want to focus on empowering the people, because I wish that would have happened to me too, right? Like, who is
Mm.
empowering me, or who was empowering me when I was in my 20s and my 30s, like, to do the things that God has called me to do. There are other forces or other things saying, no, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You haven't done this, or you don't sound this way, or whatever it is. And I don't want them to feel that way, because ultimately we all have wonderful things to give to the world. And my whole last maybe 10 years has been all about how am I going to approach my second part of life, the second stage of my life, and how can I be of service to others? And so that's where I want to be, because it's really about collaborating and having the right people at the right time to create the right atmosphere, to know that people need to be loved and that we are serving the community, even like like everyone is serving the community. So I'm not a perfect leader, but I do know that I couldn't do the things that we do. Part of why we are successful is not because of me. It's because of the people that bring the programs to life. It's
Mm.
because of the people that come along, that we link arms with, to go to the schools and do this, and to have the support groups, and to grow in different areas, and to do the trainings and the conferences and all the spaces that we get to be a part of. So
Yeah, that's
um,
so true.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And what I think about women our age who I think now are just maybe beginning, and this is not to discourage the 20 and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, but we're just beginning to see some of the things we've worked so many years for unfold and become and develop.
Yep.
And we kind of feel like we have a better understanding of what it is we want to do with those things and how we want and then also what we want to leave behind, because
Mhm.
we have to embrace the generations behind us, because what a shame it would be
Mhm.
to put all this time and effort and love and blood, sweat, and tears into the things that we have developed,
Mhm.
the opportunities that God has given us to develop things,
Mhm.
and then for them to just fizzle out.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to raise up the next generation of leaders,
Yeah.
raise up the next generation of caregivers, of mental health, providers, of believers who live their life in a all things are sacred kind of way,
Mhm.
right? Which leads me
Yeah.
to the next thing that I wanted to bring up with you, and that is that the Nurture Place is a 501(c)(3) organization, so it's a nonprofit,
Yes.
but it's not per se a Christian nonprofit,
Mhm.
although so many of the people in the organization are believers,
Mhm.
and yet you are doing incredible work in the name of Jesus without constantly beating the name of Jesus over people. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's a very eloquent way to say that, but I think as believers, we've kind of been taught that
Yeah.
when you do things with or for God, right? When
Yeah.
you do things with or for Him, that you have to constantly have what you believe as the
Yeah.
lead in every sentence, every conversation, every mission statement, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have found that some of the people who do the best kingdom work are people who aren't doing it under a ministry title or um, in the framework of ministry. So,
Mhm.
can you tell me a little bit about that journey for you and kind of how your faith does intersect with what you do?
Oh my goodness, this is going to be another podcast. I was just kidding.
That's
It's a
okay.
long,
You do that.
but I want to. For me, the work that we do at the Nurture Place is redemptive work. Working
Mhm.
with people and working with their stories is very sacred. It's working with people in challenging times is it's a very sacred space. And so is redemptive work. And I continue to say that because we are I'm a strong believer. And when I was working with a faith community before, that I ended up bringing it back to, we need to do this as a nonprofit, is because we need to be the hands and feet of Jesus to the community, not to other Christians. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I want to, I'm not the Holy Spirit, so I don't have to be. Of course, if someone is going to ask me directly, why do you do what you do? I'll tell them, of course. And that is part of healing is growing in our spiritual walk with the Lord as well. And so
Mm.
those opportunities will rise as the Holy Spirit is talking and working, but I'm not the Holy Spirit. And so I want to make sure that our space, when I'm talking to people and I'm connecting with people, God is in the midst of that. The Holy Spirit is working in the walking in the office and the snacks and everything. God is in everything, and we forget that, and we think we have to do XYZ, but God has created spaces for everyone and everything. And so I know that sometimes people don't, other believers may challenge that thought process, but I know that I'm where I'm standing, and I know my relationship with God, and I know the relationship that our therapists have with God as well. And so we do this because we love God, and the work still is redemptive, right? Just like
Yes.
a Christian who's a physician. I have a friend who's a pediatric physician. And so we talk about this, like she gets to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the office, and she's not like overly preaching over. She
Mhm.
could if she wanted to, if the opportunity arise, but she was she has the capacity and she's skilled in being a physician for that family. And so in the same way I feel about the work that we do, and it provides a space for everyone to have this sense of there's something bigger than just this safe space. It is bigger than that, right? And so, and they get the opportunity to experience that with us. So yeah, that's my answer. And I don't know, the older I get, the more I know that there's a lot of things that I don't know. And so I just want to be at the service of people for God's sake. Like I just want to be of service. And however that is being done, however is changing and transforming lives, that's the redemptive work of Him, not me, and
Mhm.
not the people in our group. But we do get to be a part of that, right? And we get to play
Yeah.
a big part in. There are so many incredible things that are happening within the nurture place, and God is in the midst of it, and the work is redemptive.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you just spoke to that so well because I know for me as a spiritual director, one of the things I get in sessions a lot is
Mhm.
people who have these wonderful gifts and talents, right?
Mhm.
And they want to do things with them, but it doesn't look spiritual
Mm.
enough. It doesn't look like it's mission oriented enough and they're doubting those things. They're doubting if is this right for me because I think I'm supposed to be doing it this certain way, that it looks this certain way or that it carries this certain moniker to it or whatever. And I find that it breaks my heart. It's so sad that we have, embraced that, I think more in the American church maybe than anywhere else, that it has to look like ministry, like official ministry in order for it to be for God.
Yeah.
It's just a lie, it's just not
It is a lot.
true, and I love how you call it's still redemptive work because that is so true, but you do have to have a mindset that all things are sacred. If you live that comes from this mindset that I find myself constantly more and more as I age speaking against, and that is the secular versus sacred mindset. It's not a thing.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
not a thing.
mhm,
All
mhm.
things are sacred. All
Yeah.
things belong. And I think about he does exactly what Jesus got so much flack for, right?
Mm,
So he was walking and doing his own thing,
mhm.
what his father was telling him to do. He
Yeah.
was reaching out to the poor, he was healing the sick, he was providing food, but whatever. But who were the people who had the biggest problem with it?
Yeah.
The quote unquote believers at that time,
Mhm.
right? They were the ones saying, "Oh, no, it has to look like this."
Mhm.
And I think that it's so much more natural
Mhm.
to
Mm,
do redemptive work
yeah.
and even more accessible to us to do redemptive things with the gifts and talents that we have than it is to go and create some ministry with it. Sometimes the worst thing you can do with that is to create a ministry around it. Because then all of a sudden the expectations and, all of those things happen. As we know, the underbelly, I call, of those things of, opinions and the money that's donated and the say that people wanna have when they donate the money and all those things, it's almost better to just do it in a redemptive way. And I love that. I feel like what you're doing and what you're doing at the Nurture Place and all of you who collaborate are teaching the next generation a better way,
Yeah. I
a
hope so.
better way.
That is my prayer, and I think I I have grown myself like in being in spaces where i- it's just really hard to sometimes be a disruptor, be someone that wants to create something because there's always people that doubt what you're doing. And
Mm,
so if there's any entrepreneurs out there or social entrepreneurs out there, like be certain that you were created to do the work that you're doing, and that you just need to be surround yourself with people that are going to support that. And sometimes be starting something new with a different type of framework, if you will, requires a lot of courage, and it requires a lot of really cleaning to God that He has it, because I'm not gonna, I don't have it, right? But He is in the midst of not only utilizing your talents, giving you the vision and the vision for what you do, but also supplying the people, people that support you, and not only financially, but like the support that you get from other people, the board members, our board members, our collaborators, people like you, Amy. You have been an incredible part of my journey and supporting me as your friend, but also as you believe in the work that we are doing. And you need those type of people, because you will get a lot of negative feedback as well. And so you need the people that are going to say, yes, this is redemptive work, yes, this is the work that we're doing, and it is transforming lives, and it is changing and helping families, and in the big and in the small, right? We can, because we get to intentionally get up every day and make that decision to be of service to God, because you know my faith is not just on Sundays. My faith is on a
mhm.
regular day, every single day, so every single morning. So I think what was the other part of your question? I think you had something else that you
Well, I'm looking at some of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I'm like, we're just like organically hitting all of
I
the answers.
know. I know.
Because
I'm
one
like,
of the things we were talking about is this believing that God is in all things. What are some of the ways you
yeah.
see God's presence? Which I feel like you've really been sharing, fairly very eloquently about that, where you already see His presence at work with the Nurture Place, not just with the families, but on these like side effects that I'm talking about, these outer layers of what you're doing, with the younger people coming into the mental health industry, if you will, and raising them up
Yes.
and to see it as a community thing, to see it as a redemptive thing. But just thinking about like what are some of the redeeming aspects or even stories that you feel like you could share about the work that you guys do?
I mean, I think one of the stories that we recently shared with the group of people that came to our gala, our fundraising gala,
Yes.
is a story of a family, a beautiful, incredible family who adopted two little girls, and they were trying to find counselors to help them with some of the challenges. We all have challenges, and our girls are no exception, or the children that come to us through adoption, some deeper challenges that are not impossible to heal, but it is quite different. And so she shared with us about she went to a physician and they prescribed three different medications to her daughter, and they saw that there's a lot of side effects with those medications, because when you understand trauma and kids that come to us from complex trauma, those things may be related. Whatever is happening, symptoms can be related to the trauma, and most likely are related to the trauma, because trauma disrupts our growth, our everything, right? And so I remember it was about 3 years ago, she called me and she was in a very desperate situation. And we had an opportunity to talk on the phone, and she was sharing what was happening in her home. And I won't share all the details because those are personal details, but I can tell you that she was in a very desperate space. I think one of the things that she did share on the video was that they were looking for places to place her daughter, and their
Mhm.
marriage was probably not going to make it. And I, of course, just encouraged her and connected her with one of our therapists, and she was able to come, and she has been with us. Their family has been with us for 3 years. They are not just surviving, they are thriving.
Mm.
Literally come from a place of, we're not making it, as our marriage is not going to make it, our family's not going to make it as a unit, our all these things, the medication, the side effects, all of that. And now we get to a place 3 years, and it takes 3 years. It takes it's a lifelong journey to heal sometimes. And so it she right now they're thriving. They are grateful for all the things that they have been able to accomplish, and their daughters all, they come in and they're incredibly happy. They get all the snacks. They love being there. It's like a second family to them. So that's just one of so many stories that have changed the kids' lives for forever, and their family's life forever. So yeah, I can tell you more stories than that, but it's just incredible to see that, and that's what keeps us going. When we
Mhm.
hear the
Mhm.
stories, when they come to just sometimes the kids want to come just to come and just sit in our lobby and hang out. It's true. And sometimes they come in directly to the snack cabinet and look for the
Mhm.
food, but they feel safe with us. They feel like this is their second home. This is a place where they are loved completely, even when they have behavior challenges, even when all the things, even if they get to be loved. And because they need to know that they're valued, and those things help the body, mind, and soul kind of reconnect and kind of come together, and they get to see who God created them to be, and they can get back to who were they intended to be. That's that. I mean, I think that's, to me, that's just significant, and there's so many stories just like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure there are, because I think one of the things that is so sweet, as I've been in the lobby before, is seeing these kids come in and they're so comfortable.
Mhm.
Nobody walks in and stays attached to their mom and is looking around or is
Yeah.
headed for the door,
Yeah.
trying to leave. I mean, they come in and they pretty much feel like this is my place.
Yeah.
They get their
100%.
snacks. If the snack that they want isn't there, they have no problem telling the therapist that comes out of that door to greet them, "Hey, Do you have the whatever bar,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
they have no problem with that, and many of them come through the door and go straight to a particular toy,
Yep.
a particular thing. You can tell they have anticipated that, and I feel like that is how we change a generation's view towards mental health.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
Yes.
That these children are not gonna be children forever. They're
Mm,
gonna grow up to be parents who may also one day, or adults who need mental health services, and it won't be something that feels foreign and unusual and scary. It will
mhm,
feel like the natural thing to do
mhm.
is to get help in those areas. So it's not just impacting a family or impacting a child, it really is impacting entire generations. Right? I mean, we know that, generational issues are the reason for so much trauma in the
Right.
world,
Yeah.
and even the Bible speaks to that, and so I think that it's just changing the tide and one community, one family, at a time.
Neuroscience has shown that we carry the traumas of our ancestors. I mean, it's
Mhm.
something that we're making up. Is literal science findings and research has been done on this. And I do believe just like trauma can be carried from generation to generation, healing can be carried to generation from generation to
Yes.
generation. And so that's what we're doing. We're changing all that. So when these kids grow older, they are able to, hey, we need this. I don't know how to deal with this. Let me reach out and find a resource that is going to help my family, my child early on, not wait until it's too late, or it's never too late, but they're too old, or early intervention makes it so incredibly uh easy, because the earlier, the younger they are, the easier the intervention, the faster they learn. I mean, kids are just incredible. Their brains are always growing, always developing, always becoming, learning the new things, and they are able to bring that to their families when they grow up. So
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
very, yeah, it's incredible. The families and the children are incredible.
Well, and so are you and all of the collaborators that work with you too.
Mm.
So thank you for being with me today, for
Yeah.
sharing so much of your story.
We could keep
I
talking, for
I know.
hours because it's
We
so
could.
much.
We absolutely
Not
could. And we have
we
sometimes. And
have.
we have sometimes. Could you share with the listeners how to find out more about the Nurture Place, whether they live in Orange County or whether they would like to maybe learn how to create something like this in their own community? How could they reach you?
Yeah, they can, thenurtureplace.org for our website, and they can email admin at thenurtureplace.org or Angela at thenurtureplace.org, and we can connect with them. And I'm always willing to get on the phone with anyone and encourage them to start the thing, whatever that
Yeah.
thing for them.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so one last question
Yes.
that I like to ask everybody is, how do you keep your own soul evergreen through all the seasons of life and in your work? Be as practical as you can.
Okay. I've shared before, or earlier, I was sharing how I love nature. So walking in the mornings and being in, sometimes I bring my phone, but most of the time I don't. Try to disconnect with that and just be present. Like if I hear a bird or if I see something, like I like actually approach it and actually be there, because to me that's so important. But also, I love music. I love all kinds of music. There's something so incredible about just the sounds of all cultures and all different diversity of music that I like. So, like, I like the opera, and I like jazz, and I like classical, and I like the 80s, like all
Mhm.
kinds of different music. I know I'm crazy, but I love it. And I love dancing. And so getting in my body and just dancing, and sometimes putting the music in my house. And one of the things that I started doing, and this is just I haven't shared with anyone, but I just grab my baby and I put the some music and we start dancing, and I want to create that environment of like just like it's okay to just have fun and love to dance and love to enjoy the moment. And so those are the things that I like. I like art. I like things that I see. So yeah, those are very practical things. I like
Yes.
writing prayers for people or just writing prayers. I do that.
Mhm.
So I sometimes do that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that because I feel like learning, discovering for ourselves those things
Mm.
are is a great contribution to not just our spiritual health, but our mental health in those really difficult seasons that come along that sometimes are unexpected or sudden or run for a long time in our lives. Ways that we can keep our spirits up, keep our head up, our chin up, that we can connect with our body and not go into those trauma responses of kind of disconnecting from everything. And I think that it's good to know what those things are. So when we get in those difficult days, we can have something to fall back on to kind of to bring us back to life.
Yeah, and those embodied practices, I think that help with our healing too. Like I do like massage. I don't get massages as often as I should or as I would like to. But I remember an experience that I had after a massage. I came home and I was actually in a meeting and I started bawling and I could not stop. And so I called my massage therapist and I'm like, hey, I can't stop crying. What is this? What's going on? And she's like, it's okay. It's called a release. And, your body's releasing all that stress, all that is going on. So those embodied practices, whether it's yoga or movement, any type of movement, massage, like they help you to come back to your body and let go of the things that you're trying to keep in. And
Mm.
so anyways, just
Oh,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being with me
Of
today.
course, of
I
course.
appreciate it so much. And I will have all of your links to these things that you spoke about in the show notes.
No problem. No problem.
Thanks,
Thank
friend.
you for having me. I love you and appreciate you very, very much. So thank you.
You're welcome. Love you too.
Love you.
Thanks for joining me today on my Her Evergreen Soul podcast. If this conversation has you longing to slow down and be more present with God, I'd love to invite you to explore a couple of devotionals I've created. My newest devotional is Sacred Dust, a 25-day embodiment devotional that is a journey into an embodied, integrated faith with gentle reflections and spiritual practices to help you live rooted and attentive in every season. And for this Advent and Christmas season, Away in a Manger, my Christmas devotional for women, invites you to prepare room for Christ in the quiet corners of your life, with daily readings and practices that draw you back to the wonder of the Incarnation. To find out more about my devotionals, you can pop over onto my website, evergreensoulwellness.com/books.